I paid $600 for these two PS2 dev kits, but they're both broken. Let's see if we can fix them. And PS2 dev kit number 1, it's got the red light with it plugged in. Let's see if it shows up on the screen. We got a flash on the screen. Oh, here we go. Okay, good so far. The fan for sure works. Okay. Disc tray does come out, comes out a little slow. Let's play this very quality game, Cabela's Dangerous Hunts 2. Kind of surprising that there's a 2 of that game. Loading. Okay. It actually seems to be playing the game fine so far. Okay, this one actually seems to be playing the game fine, so I think the only problem with this one may be just with how slowly the disc goes in and out. Let me show you. So if we press the eject button here, towards the end it just goes really slow. Now, I feel like there should be more problems with that, but that could be the only problem with this. So far, this one actually looks like it's in good condition. I am a little worried about this though. We've got a big melted spot right here and a little bit right here, and I'm not sure what would have caused that. I feel like it had to have been, maybe it was just something next to it. Maybe this was like near the exhaust air of some other hardware they were running. Either way, this one seems to be working good other than that little disk drive issue. Let's start the other one up and see what's wrong with that one. And here we go with number 2. It does have the red light on the power button, so it looks like it's good so far. Let's see if we get something on the screen. Oh, right away. Okay, this is all good news so far. Let's try the disk drive. Oh, that's an issue. No, stop. It's okay. Stop trying. That's not a good noise. We're just gonna turn that off. Okay, this one we definitely need to get apart and have a look at that disk drive. And the first one, it looks like we also need to look at the disk drive, probably do a good cleaning on it. Let's get started on the first one and then we'll move on to the second one. The other thing that kind of worries me about number 1 is it's got kind of like this sticky, oily substance here. And I want to get it apart so we can make sure that it's not anywhere else inside this console. The cool thing is this actually has never even been opened before. So we're going to be the first ones into this one. I don't necessarily like opening these when they've never been opened before, especially kind of the special rare consoles like this. But at the same time, I want to get it fixed up so it's working good. So I'm going to open it anyway. Okay, I just have it peeled back enough to get the case apart. So that way I can kind of re-stick it, even though it's very obvious somebody's taken it apart before. It still looks kind of cool having it on there, I think. So this is a PS2 dev kit model 30101. The cool thing about the PS2 dev kits is the debug functions are hard-coded into these machines, so it's not like a firmware thing that they lock you out of or anything. They're just automatically on here. The PS2 dev kits play all games regardless of region lock, so it's kind of cool to have one because you can just play any game from anywhere. Some of these test PS2s have a secret region settings menu. I don't think these two have it. According to what I read online, the H75000A and the H90000A both have those, but this one doesn't supposedly, but we might try it anyway just to see if it does happen to be on here. As I said, I paid $600 for both of these. Currently, the eBay asking price is $1,000 for one of these. They're both working, and if I can get the disk drives working even better, then they could possibly bring in up to $1,000 each. Although this one with the melting on the case probably won't bring quite that much. And the good news, at least so far, is that it looks like whatever this residue is on the outside is not on the inside of the console. So that's good. Just need to take, actually, I don't think we need to take that screw out there. I think we need to take this screw out so we can get the fan out. And then I think the disk drive comes out, which is what we're needing to get into right now. So we have this ribbon cable right here. Oh, it must be a locking tab there, which means I think we have to take the board out, maybe? I don't see any other way to get that off of there. Also, this little ribbon cable down in here just pulled out. So it looks like we need to come in from the other side so then we can remove those ribbon cables. I thought I could get it out from the top, and you might be able to, but I'm just going to play it safe here. I don't want to do anything to break this one. There's enough value on this thing that I need to make sure not to break anything else. I am going to take this screw out so we can take this whole power button off and clean it up if needed. There is a little bit of residue on the back side of it here, so let's get that off. There we go. Yep, down here, there's a little bit right there on the board, so and now we'll remove the power supply. Now I've only repaired 1 or 2 PS2's in my life. If you've been paying attention to my channel, I fixed one not too long ago, but this is a different model than that one, so this has a different configuration than that one did, which is kind of fun, keeps it interesting. Okay, and now this can come off. Okay, now we need to get all these little screws out, and then this whole plate, I think this whole plate just comes right off. Yeah, that's not good. What even is that for? That's for the fan? I just tore off a fan connector. Come on. What a rookie. Goes right there. Well, we got something else to fix on this one now. Definitely, as usual, fixing this one until it's broken even more. Can't believe I did that. Okay, and there we go with that part of it. Now we can get to these connectors. Oh, and these do just pull out for the disk drive. Okay. I thought they had locking tabs. This one has a locking tab. There we go. So the orange connector corresponds with the green connector on the board. That makes total sense. Good job, Sony. Okay, we don't actually need this bottom plate. Okay, now we're down to the disk drive. I think what I'm going to do is go in through the top side so we can give that laser a good cleaning. I don't really want to replace it because it is working, so I feel like replacement probably isn't necessary, but probably good cleaning is in order. I mean, this thing is still working after whenever this was made. More than 1 decade, that's for sure. Okay, there we go. All right, and there's the laser. The tray is held in here, here, and here. I don't know whether this will do anything or not, but let's take these screws out too. When in doubt, take more screws out. What does that do? Oh, there we go. That's what we needed. And then this just slides off. That's amazing. That's the first time I've ever had one of these apart before. Okay. So this gear right here corresponds with these teeth on the tray. So when the gear is turning, it pushes the tray out or in. So let's have a look at the band. I actually don't have more bands for this, so I don't know that it really matters if we take a look at the band, but we're going to do it anyway. Okay. I mean, that actually doesn't seem to be all that bad. Seems to grip nicely. I don't really see any problem with that band. I think what I'm going to do is give the band a good cleaning, give these pulleys a good cleaning, and that might be all we need to do here. Now, if I was smart, I would have ordered some of these bands, but honestly, I didn't even know this disk drive had bands. I should have known because that's just how they did it back then. Most consoles of this age had bands on the disk drive, so that would make sense. Now we're going to clean the laser with a Q-tip and a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, then some canned air, just to make sure it's nice and dry. We need to clean off the rubber on this spindle. That's also something we need to clean. That will help it grip the disc better. It's really not too dirty for how old this is, so this is actually in pretty decent condition. this grease on the worm gear. Still looks good. It's still wet, still moves around, so we probably don't need any more grease there. So I don't see anything else to do here. I think if there was anything else, it would just be to replace this band. I mean, like I said, I don't have any, but this band also seems to be in really good condition. So I'm also not too worried about that. So let's get this thing put back together, and then we can deal with that fan connector on the board. I still cannot believe I did that. I am gonna clean up this sliding rail a little bit. It does look a little dirty, so let's clean all that nastiness off of there. I don't think it's necessarily causing a problem, but while we're in here, we might as well make sure it's good and clean. Now, we can put this back under here. Okay, we need to start with the motor over here. Then we should be able to slide this. Ah, that's not going to work. So let's have that all the way over there. Okay, there we go. And just a little bit of general cleaning on this top piece. There's nothing too crazy going on here, but might as well clean it while we're in here. Make sure the magnet's nice and clean. Now the outside though has a little bit of that, whatever that residue is. Set a little bit over in this corner. Now we can get the screws back in and start putting this thing back together. And then once we're ready, we'll deal with that fan connector. The biggest repair I have to do on this thing is one that I caused. Okay, let's get this board mounted up, then we'll deal with this connector. White goes with white, red goes with red, and naturally, yellow goes with green. Whatever. So first things first, since I'm going to be handling this fan, let's get this nasty residue off of it. No clue what it is, but it's kind of sticky, almost like from vaping or something. More of it down here, more of it down here. Okay, we also need to clean that fan a little bit, but we can do that later, or I might just do it off camera. Now, this fan connector we need to get apart. Now, I'm going to be using pliers on this, but you have to be super careful. Grip it nice and tight, and then we got to pull back and forth. Hopefully get a good enough bite on it that we can get it loose. It's actually really hard because I don't have enough grip with my fingers to really pull against it very well. Yeah, I don't want to break that fan connector. Ah, there we go. Got it. Okay, so that needs to go on there. So there's a little hook right here that hooks into the back of the connector, just like that. Gotta make sure it goes all the way on there. Okay, I think it's actually on there pretty good. Now we need to solder this point, and this point. I'm going to put on a little bit of flux. That'll help the solder flow. Then I'll bring in my soldering iron and solder each of those points down solidly to the board. And after our 25-second soldering job, this connector is on there nice and solid and ready to go back together. And now to see if I can remember how I took this all apart so I can make sure and get it put back together. I need to clean that up first though. I don't know what that stuff is, but it looks pretty gross. Okay, and now we're ready to start getting this thing back together. Okay. Now I think this goes underneath there. And then we can pull it through with our tweezers. And then let's make sure it plugs in correctly. And it does. Great. Okay, that wasn't too bad. That was a pretty easy fix. Now I got to get a bunch of screws in, then the power supply, then this guy, and then I can basically put it all back together. Now I got to clean off more of that residue. It's annoying just handling this thing because this stuff is just, it's like all over parts of it, but not on the main parts. So like the board and stuff like that has very little of it, which is good, but it's just kind of gross. Hopefully it won't affect this power button. I mean, so far it works fine, but it's just all over it. Okay, that's definitely better. Now it's on my fingers though. I don't really like using isopropyl alcohol to clean my fingers because it's very drying, but I mean, gotta get this stuff off because it feels disgusting. I probably could have just, you know, used gloves like you guys are always telling me to do. Wouldn't have kept me from tearing that connector off the board though. Okay, looking good so far. Now I gotta clean this up. This also has a bunch of that stuff on it. Look at that. All over there. Look at this, it's just all over in here. Ew. What do you think? Vape fluid? I mean, I feel like that's the most likely cause. To be fair, I do know that this is what happens to the inside of your lungs when you're vaping. And I know that because I saw it on a TikTok video. You know, everything on TikTok you see is true, right? So the lesson here is don't vape. All right, and that is almost sort of somewhat close to being perfect. Now let's continue with the assembly. Now we just got a few more screws left to put in, and then we can start this up and see if it works any better, and also make sure the fan works. Okay, back together. Let's make sure it turns on. Good news, and the fan is even working. Disk drive. Okay. I feel like maybe it works a little bit better. Of course, maybe that's just wishful thinking from all that work I did on it. Takes it in nicely. These PS2's, when the disc spins up, it's very quiet, and when it's reading the disc, it's also very quiet. So overall, I think it works pretty good. So test PlayStation 2 number 1 is all fixed, even though we kind of broke it and then had to fix it. Let's move on to number 2 because it needs a lot more work than this one does. So this PS2 even includes this network card, which I think is pretty cool. Not sure how or why I would use it, but still cool to have, especially if I go to resell these. It seems like that's something that would be worth something. So let's remove it and have a look at it. Pull. Yes, it does. Okay, so, network card and hard drive. So we got a 40 gig hard drive on this. That's definitely not much now, but I think back in the day, that was probably pretty good. Oh, manufactured date, January of 2002. So in 02, 40 gigs was a pretty good size hard drive. And again, we are peeling back the warranty sticker. You know, not that it really matters these days, but I mean, I think these are worth more if they work fine and the warranty sticker is intact. But I think it'll also be worth more if it actually works. Okay. Now we just got to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to get all these screws out and get it opened up. And with all the screws out, let's get it opened up and check out the inside. That just fell out, whatever that's for. Okay, this one's a little dirtier inside. Not too bad though. We know we need to get down to the disk drive though, so let's start working our way down to it. I think with those removed, we can get this whole thing out. Maybe? Yep, there we go. That was easy enough. Now I'm going to pull this ribbon cable out, disconnect the top cover. Even these are so much easier once I know a little bit more about them. Since this is the second one I've taken apart today, it's really not too bad. And I'm going to take this top cover off of the disk drive and just see if we can get to the parts that are bad just from the top. We probably can't, but it's definitely worth a try. It saves a lot of work if we can just get right to it from here. Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, nothing too crazy yet. It looks like a pretty dirty laser. Need to flip this around though. I think what I'll do next is take out this tray. We got to have a look at that band, the rubber band on this thing. I hope I don't need to replace it, because if I do, I'm going to have to steal it from something I've got sitting around here. So there's nothing binding up there. That gear turns freely. This actually, I don't really see anything wrong with this one. That's kind of, oh no, that even, so that works fine. If I hold my finger on this band so it can't freely turn, this motor is really hard to turn. So that tells me that the band is keeping it fairly tight. So what else could be causing that? I feel like I might have to plug this thing in and see if we can figure out why it's doing that. And just as I was going to move this to get it plugged in, I noticed something. Tell me if you can see what's wrong. It's right in this scene right here. Right over here, there's a broken piece. If you remember on that last PS2, there's a little pin right here. And that pin is not on this one. So I think what's going on here is the pin isn't there. It must have to do something with when this tray moves in and out. Yeah, you can see there's a little groove right here and kind of like a little peg. Actually, no, this little groove right here is what that pin would follow. So if we put this here, that pin sticks up in that little groove, and once this is all the way in, that motor would turn and that plastic piece would be pulled all the way along here, right along this right here. And without this plastic piece here, it can't do that. When this piece is all the way out here, there's nothing for this gear to catch on. But if it's moved in a little bit, then this gear can catch on that and pull it in just like that. And that's what lifts this, whole laser assembly up, and the spin motor and the laser can then do their jobs. So what we need to do is find a replacement for this piece and get it replaced. So I've got the white piece harvested that we need to replace this one with. It looks like I need to take out this laser. The model that I took that white piece from is a little bit different, but I think the white piece is the same. I've got several other PS2's laying around that are mostly just for parts. Oh yeah, this is way different. Hopefully the white piece is all the same though. Okay, now this should come, oh, the whole thing comes up, okay. There we go. Same over here. There we go. Okay, now we can just move this back a little bit. And now, theoretically, this will come out. Hey, there we go. But is it the same? Oh yeah, it looks exactly the same. So this piece can just slide in here, slip down on there. Okay, I think that looks good. And then these just go back into their grooves. Okay, I think we're good so far. Now we need to put these screws back in. That would be amazing if it was that easy. I need to clean this laser before I forget as well. While we're in here, we might as well do that. Okay, and then that goes on. I'm gonna give this a little bit of a cleaning, just to get all that gunk off of this rail. And then just kind of come through and get some of the dust off. It's really not too dirty. Flip it over and slide it on. And before we forget, let's clean this laser up. Also clean off the spin motor. And now the cover goes back on, then we can get it back together and test it and see if that's all that's wrong with this one. So as I was messing with this, I noticed that there must be several different disk drives that go in these things, because this is the track that little white pin rides along right here. And this is the original one that came out of this PS2. This is the one from the white piece that I took out. And you can see that this track is different. It kind of has a curve in it right here. So this is the top piece that I'm going to put on this one. And hopefully that's all I need to make sure this one works. I'm not totally sure why the tracks are different, but they definitely are. So hopefully that'll make sure this one works once we get it all the way put back together. To get these on, you have to slide it along this track right here. I mean, as far as I know, this is the only way to do it. There could be a better way to do it, but this is the only way I know to do it. Okay. There we go. Now it's ready to test. I have it plugged in and together just enough to test it. So let's see if this thing works at all. Okay. I don't know if that's going out all the way. There we go. Kind of gets stuck right there. Okay. I'm not sure why it gets stuck. We'll have to check that out, but it looks like it is working at least. It gets stuck like halfway out. I think what I'm going to do is replace the band in this one from the other one that I'm stealing parts off of, and hopefully that will make it so it doesn't stick when it's coming about halfway out. So now this band I'm going to clean up with some isopropyl alcohol. Now I'll remove this one. And install this one. Okay. I don't know if that's going to do anything for us, but let's give it a try. It may be better just to replace this entire disk drive with the one from that other drive, or from the other PS2. But let's try this and see if it happens to do anything. Okay, let's give it a try. Still doesn't work amazing right there. I think next I'll try and lubricate this rail right here, see if that helps us out any. I need to do this with lithium grease, but I don't have any on hand right at the moment. So I'm not going to do it like that. Okay, now let's try it. Oh, there we go. Got it. Oh, that's working great. Okay, now I'm gonna get this thing put all the way back together, and then let's test it and see if it'll actually play a disc. And our PlayStation 2 is all the way back together. Let's turn it on. Put a disc in. Hey, wait. And we've got something on the screen. Let's get a disc in. See if it spins up. I hear it trying to read. Oh, I think I hear it spinning. Good. Let's see if we get a game on the screen. Come on. And it looks like it's reading just fine. So I was able to fix both of these PS2 test units. If you want to see a video where I try and fix an Xbox One dev kit, I'll put that video up on your screen now so you can come hang out with me over there and see if I could fix it. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have a good one.